After the Normandy landings, the Phantom Army did not vanish. In fact, its role became even more delicate. The Allies needed to keep the illusion alive long enough to prevent Hitler from realizing the truth. If German commanders accepted that Normandy was the real invasion, they could unleash their full strength and potentially push the Allies back into the sea. So the deception continued, day after day, under enormous pressure. In the weeks following June 6th, radio traffic from the fake army actually increased. Messages spoke of delays, of units waiting for better weather, of supplies still being stockpiled. Togermaniers. It sounded like patience before a decisive strike. Reports reached Berlin, claiming that General Patton's forces were simply biding their time. Hitler, already prone to rigid thinking, clung to the belief that Pas de Calais remained the true objective. German divisions stayed frozen in place. Some of the most powerful armored units in Europe sat idle, engines cold, waiting for an invasion that never came. Meanwhile, in Normandy, real soldiers fought brutal battles through hedgerows, villages, and fields soaked with blood. Every day that the Phantom Army held German attention away from Normandy increased the Allies' chances of breaking out. What made the deception extraordinary was how long it worked. Even as Allied troops pushed inland and liberated towns, German intelligence continued to argue that this was still a diversion. Intercepted communications, false reports from double agents, and the continued presence of Patton's army all reinforced the lie. The Phantom Army had become a ghost so convincing that reality itself struggled to compete. One of the most powerful weapons in this illusion was human intelligence. Allied counterintelligence services had turned several German spies into double agents. These men and women fed carefully crafted information back to their handlers in Germany. They described troop concentrations, invasion timetables, and strategic intentions, all pointing toward Pas de Calais. Because these agents had previously proven reliable, their reports carried enormous weight. The Germans trusted them. That trust proved fatal. As July turned into August, Allied forces finally broke through German lines in Normandy. Operation Cobra shattered resistance, and armored columns surged across France. Only then did the truth become impossible to ignore. The invasion at Pas de Calais never came. The Phantom Army had done its job too well and too quietly. When German commanders finally redeployed their reserves, it was too late. The momentum had shifted. Allied troops raced toward Paris, while German forces retreated in chaos. What might have been a prolonged stalemate turned into a rapid collapse, in part because crucial days and weeks had been wasted guarding against an army that did not exist. The men who served in the Phantom Army received little recognition at the time. Their success depended on secrecy, and secrecy meant silence. There were no victory parades for inflatable tanks or sound engineers. Many soldiers returned home without ever being able to explain what they had done during the war. Official records were sealed, and stories remained classified for decades. Only after the war did historians begin to piece together the full scale of the deception. They discovered how carefully every element had been planned, from the angle of fake tank barrels to the rhythm of radio transmissions. Nothing was accidental. The Phantom Army was a fusion of art, psychology, engineering, and intelligence, all aimed at a single goal: controlling the enemy's perception. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect was how the deception exploited Hitler's own mindset. He feared a direct strike at Germany's most vulnerable point, and trusted his intuition over conflicting evidence. The Allies did not need to invent a new fear. They simply fed an existing one. In doing so, they turned Hitler's rigidity into a weapon against him. The Phantom Army also changed how modern militaries thought about warfare. After World War II, deception became a formal discipline. Concepts like psychological operations, electronic warfare, and information dominance all trace part of their lineage to this operation. The idea that a fake force could shape real outcomes became a lasting lesson. For the soldiers who inflated rubber tanks and played recorded engine noises in the night, the victory was abstract but deeply meaningful. They had never faced enemy fire, yet their actions influenced the fate of nations. Many later said that the strangest part was knowing they were fighting a war that only existed in the enemy's imagination. In the end, the Phantom Army proved a simple but powerful truth. In war, belief can be as deadly as steel. By making the enemy see what was not there, the Allies changed the course of history. Long after the guns fell silent, the legacy of that invisible army remained, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful forces are the ones no one can touch, only fear. And so the Phantom Army marched off into legend, leaving behind no graves, no ruins, only a shadow in history and a victory shaped by illusion.